Hello everybody! JTC Anime here today. We're here to review the first season of Go Go Loser Ranger. So without further ado, let's just hop right into this. So, what is the story behind Go Go Loser Ranger? Basically, the story follows our main character D, who originally worked under a bunch of big boss aliens as their subordinates until the Red Ranger and his crew, the Power Ranger people here that are called the Dragon Keepers, they basically take out all of the bosses and now are forcing all of the minions, including D, to act out these little skits here and there to make them look good and stuff like that. Basically, kind of spinning things in a way to make it show that the Rangers themselves are kind of terrible people because they basically said, do this for us or you're dead or we'll kill you. And it basically kind of flips things on its head where the Rangers are actually the bad guys in this scenario. And thus D, after having enough of it, decides to finally go into the inside of the Rangers, join the Ranger side just to try to sneak in, find out their weaknesses, and take them down. And yeah, that's basically how things kind of start. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop into some spoiler-free thoughts. So, in my opinion, when I went into this show, I wasn't sure how I would feel. I was on board with it. In fact, I was fully cool with it. I thought this could be a really interesting take on the whole thing with the Power Rangers. And then I actually watched it, and it did start off on a pretty solid note. Like, the first few episodes are legitimately really good. Like, the first 1 to 5 episodes or so were really entertaining, and while I felt like they were kind of pushing things a lot faster than I anticipated, I was really enjoying it and having such a good time. And overall, I do think that the show has a lot of promise to it, especially with the fact that the only time I truly kind of felt a bit bored was in the middle of the season. Like episodes 6 to 7 were a bit iffy for me, but then after that, the rest of the season, like episodes 8 to 12, were absolute bangers after bangers. They were so good, and I had such a great time with this show, and I just can't wait for season 2, which I believe as of the time of this video is currently airing, so I'll probably be watching it. But I have been really having such a great time with this show. Like, the entire thing was such a ride. It was so good, and I just had such an amazing time with all the different characters. D, as a main character especially, one thing I really appreciate with D is that when he infiltrates the Rangers, he doesn't try to be someone else. He doesn't try to fully act like he's another person. He does it to a small degree because he has to, but for the most part, he still acts like himself. He still responds the way he would normally would to things, and that's something I feel like a lot of these type of disguise type stories go, where they change it up to make it so that way the main character tries to act exactly like somebody else, and I feel like that's not bad, but it kind of is a mixed bag. Sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad, but in this case, I really appreciate how D is just acting like himself, even with a little bit of pretending here and there. It's really nice, and I also love all of the character growth he goes throughout the season, becoming more of an independent character and stuff like that, and realizing what he truly wants. And also, some other stuff I'd like to talk about is that I really enjoyed all the different backstories we got in this season. Like, a lot of stories will usually just have like 1 or 2 backstories here and there to kind of explain a few characters, but this show goes all in on the backstories. Like, anytime a character is somewhat vital, it'll do a backstory. And while it can get a bit repetitive sometimes with how many backstories they throw in there, at the same time, I really do appreciate it because it gets me to understand and enjoy seeing more of the events that play out, as well as feel bad for a few things, which I'll talk about in the spoiler section. But I really appreciate how many backstories they throw in there. Even if it might be a bit much at times, I still think they're very good and I like them a lot, and they really help flesh out the story even more. But the next thing I would like to talk about is just a quick little thing to mention: the opening and ending theme of this anime. Both are absolutely fantastic. Like, I did not think that in terms of like the visuals for the opening are absolutely top tier. I love them so much. And then you have the ending theme, which normally kind of like CGI endings or CGI openings and stuff like that can be a bit iffy, but this show really does nail it perfectly, and I really like that because both the opening and ending theme, despite being CGI instead of the traditional 2D animated, well, there is some 2D animation here and there, but they really do go for a unique style with how they handled those, and I'm curious to see what they'll do in the second season with all that. But really, I am just having such a great time with those openings and endings, and I say but I finished the season, and I just had such a good time with it. I really did enjoy those openings and endings. I never skipped it because I just enjoyed them so much. But yeah, if I were to give this thing a bit of a negative without spoiling anything, I believe I mentioned it already, but I feel like the middle of the season was kind of iffy. It's because D was still getting adjusted to everything inside the Ranger base and stuff like that, and so I was not really vibing with it that much. And then when it continued, I still wasn't vibing with it. It wasn't until the next big plot point kicked into gear that I was finally like, okay, we're back to this being amazing. And it just gets better. Like, everything from like episode 8 to 12 was absolutely amazing. I had such a good time with it. It was so good. Like, it was amazing. I never got bored. I just binged through it all at once. It was so good. The time just flew by. it was amazing. And yeah, the only real weak thing there is just I felt like the middle could have been a bit better. And also, another small complaint I would have is that sometimes the story would just bounce from thing to thing. Like sometimes it will actually have the narrative, but other times it'll just bounce from like one scene to another scene, and I get that's supposed to just be probably how the manga is maybe, but it felt a bit weird sometimes. But that wasn't a big issue, I could still roll with it. And yeah, that's all I can really say without spoiling anything, so we're just got into the spoiler section now. Here's a typeset with the spoilers, and if you have seen the show, I recommend sticking around and hearing my thoughts, but if you haven't, you skip to the end to get into spoilers. But yeah, if you have seen it, I recommend sticking around and hear my thoughts. And yeah, I'm going to count down from 5 and we're going to enter the spoiler section. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is probably the biggest spoiler, so I'm just gonna kind of get it out of the way, and that is how this season ends with the death of the Blue Ranger, which I was very surprised by. I didn't think they were actually going to kill off any of the Rangers at the end of this season, and it didn't help the fact that they literally told his backstory, and I felt kind of bad for him. Like, he was just a guy trying to make his way in the world and stuff like that, and then was kind of just forced into the Blue Ranger position by the Red Ranger, who we all can see that the big bad is going to be the Red Ranger, because he is truly an uncaring person. Like, after the Blue Ranger dies, his first thought is, how will our stance look without him now? He was the perfect way to finish our stance. Like, he did not care about his death. He just cared that the pose wouldn't look right. Like, that is so fricked up. And I just felt so bad for the Blue Ranger, because he took the place of the previous Blue Ranger simply just because he wanted to kind of make a difference in the world, and after being betrayed by a monster who actually had planned to basically get rid of him and his team and stuff like that. And it just really hit hard, especially with the fact that the Blue Ranger didn't die from like a good fight against D, who had challenged him to a fight, but the main big boss monster that it turns out had actually been alive this whole time, who had just taken out the Blue Ranger while he was distracted with D. And once the Blue Ranger did die, D was just like, why are you doing this? Like, why? Why can you not heal yourself? Please, I wanted this to be a fair fight, come on! And it is amazing how much D grew through all of that, but I felt so bad for the Blue Ranger, because, well, I know he kind of had to go since now he knew D's secret of being part of the group, since during the season, the character called Hibiki ended up letting D take his place because of his own goals, and since Blue knew that, the Blue Ranger knew that, he now could not just keep him alive and stuff like that. But dang, it was kind of rough seeing that the Blue Ranger was just like, well, I guess that's it for me. And it's just sad, because he was doing all this because of basically his support. The one who watched his back got really injured. Like, she got really badly hurt by the big boss monster, and it's just really sad, man. But at the same time, I understand it had to happen, and now that's one Ranger down, just a few more to go, and I just want to see the Red Ranger get what's coming to him, because he is truly a terrible, terrible person. But we'll just have to see how things go from there. And yeah, going past that, I guess one thing I talked about that was a negative, that was a bit of a spoiler, since I didn't want to really cover it during the non-spoiler section, was this whole thing with the sister of Hibiki, because in the story, Hibiki's sister is the Pink Ranger. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a neat little tie-in, so that way she has more of a connection to him, so she has more of a connection to D because he's pretending to be Hibiki. But then it's revealed she's a Brocon. Like, she's in love with her brother, and that just kind of broke the immersion for me for a bit. I was just like, oh, okay, this is happening, I guess. Like, I wasn't supportive of it. I thought it was kind of a weird addition to throw in there. I didn't really like it that much, but it is what it is. It's the author's story. I'm just gonna roll with it. It's just kind of a negative I had. But moving past that, I guess next we'll talk about some of the other characters that I really enjoyed this season, such as the fact of the whole crew that D was working with, such as some other characters in the story, such as Koguma, who basically was this guy who was kind of just following in his friend's footsteps, but then ended up stepping in and actually becoming a hero for a little bit, even if only for a little bit, and he's now recovering and stuff like that. But it was a really nice touch. I really liked how he had his moments, and most of our cast do get moments within this story, and I really do like the fact that even though we have like this whole outcast group, we still try our best to kind of connect with them and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed how basically D kind of related to all of them and tried to help them because he felt that they had a connection, especially with this one character called Shion, who he kind of related to a certain degree. And he was just like, man, this guy's very similar to me, and I can kind of relate to him on that front, which I thought was very nice. I thought it was an interesting little thing that they threw in there. And yeah, I guess another character I could talk about that I was surprised by had some development in the story as well is this character called X's, which is basically this one monster that ended up inside of Hibiki's room that I'm guessing just had a connection to him some way, which Dee now had to deal with and stuff like that. And her whole thing where basically she wasn't sure what to do after it looked like the boss monster was about to be defeated, but then, you know, the boss monster escapes with her and ends up she eats him, I'm guessing, to either give him more power or help him escape or something. I'm not too certain about that. But basically, she just clarifies that all she really knows is to follow orders. And that's just something I found to be really interesting with her character, how she wants to kind of grow, but she doesn't know anything else besides following orders, so it really throws her off, compared to Dee, who throughout the season has slowly gone from being like, they took out the boss monster, so now we'll take over the world for them, to realizing, wait, I don't want the boss monster to take over. I want to take over to make this kind of a fair world for us alien monster things. You know, the whole thing was that Dee and his crew were created literally just to be used as fodder to take out the Rangers and citizens and stuff like that. But now Dee realizes, no, I don't want that. I have a different thing in mind, and it even shows when he has a bit of a what-if scenario going on in his head in one episode where he basically sees a what-if scenario where if the monsters did win, and it's not what he wants at all, because at first, it seems all happy-go-lucky until the boss comes in and just kills everyone for no reason, and that's when Dee realizes, oh crap, this isn't what I want at all, what the heck? And it's just great character development for Dee as a character, as now he is no longer someone who just desires to serve the bosses, but now he's his own boss. He wants to be more independent and actually prove himself. And it's why when the Blue Ranger dies at the hands of the boss instead of him, he was just like, what the frick? Why? I love so much of Dee's development through this season, and I cannot wait to see where things go next. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that. So we're at the conclusion of this video. One of my final thoughts? Overall, I really enjoyed Go Go Loser Ranger. It was a lot more fun than I ever could have anticipated. Even though there was like a mixed bag for like 2 episodes within this season, most of it was absolutely amazing. I had such a good time with it, and that's why I give Go Go Loser Ranger an 8 out of 10. It was a good time, and I'm very excited to hop into the second season. And yeah, that's all I have to say, and thank you all for watching. If you're new to the JGC Anime channel, don't forget to subscribe. I also do anime fans to the channel, and I will see you all around. Peace!